understand that. Yogi and the rest have to follow. Moving on.
For Europe, India is a pillar of certainty in an increasingly uncertain world. We know that authoritarian states are getting bolder, ignoring borders, threatening peace at sea. Now is the time to step up our security and defense cooperation on land, at sea and in space.
While the Trump administration has been going hammer and tongs against India, and we have explored the reasons in many earlier episodes, this month marked a breeze insofar as India-Europe relationship is concerned. You heard the Finnish president, Alexander Stubbs. He called India an emerging superpower, which is not like Russia and China, in a Bloomberg podcast. It was a very nuanced statement. His differentiation of India vis-à-vis Russia and China was a message to the United States. There's a quiet but unmistakable shift happening in Europe. It's about Europe, long seen as America's closest ally, slowly but surely recalibrating its strategic compass. And the pivot is happening towards India. Why? Because Europe is in a pincer. On the one side is China-backed Russia, Dragon Bear as European strategic community calls them. And on the other is its own transatlantic partner, the United States, or more specifically, from the unpredictability of Donald Trump's America. Let's unpack this.
They've had a big fight, like two kids in a schoolyard. You know, they fight like hell. You can't stop them. Let them fight for about 2-3 minutes, then it's easier to stop them.
And then Daddy has to sometimes use strong language.
You have to use strong language. Every once in a while, you have to use a certain word.
This was NATO chief Mark Rutte trying to indulge with mercurial Trump. He got panned across Europe amid guffaws on how abject a surrender Europe was making to a bully United States. Not that this has stopped Trump from going after them. The American president has aggressively pushed for a Russia-Ukraine rapprochement, has berated NATO member states to up their defense spending, and taken unserviceable promises on American exports from the European Union. This has got Brussels worrying. Look at this BBC report. It says there's a growing concern in European policy circles. What if America turns off the switch on Europe's internet? Crazy as it sounds, it's rooted in a very real vulnerability. 3 American tech giants, Google, Microsoft, and Amazon, control about 70% of Europe's cloud infrastructure. That's the backbone of everything from hospitals to banking system to government services. In an era where data is power, this level of dependence is dangerous. And with Trump's track record of using economic tools as geopolitical weapons, the fear isn't entirely unfounded. What if a future White House decides to weaponize the cloud? What if critical data becomes inaccessible overnight? This fear is pushing Europe to look for alternatives. And India is emerging as a compelling one. You heard the Finnish president describe India as a rising superpower. More crucially, we are not trying to export any ideology or dominate global systems. Stubbs' comments are not just a compliment. It was a message to Washington that Europe is diversifying its partnerships. India offers something rare in today's geopolitical landscape: scale, stability, and shared values. It's not authoritarian like China, nor revisionist like Russia. It's a country that believes in rules-based order, even if it does not always play by every Western rule. And Europe is taking notice. In September alone, Prime Minister Narendra Modi held 2 joint calls with top EU leadership, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and European Council President Antonio Costa. That's not routine diplomacy. That's a strategic courtship. The result, Brussels came out with a working paper, a strategic vision on EU's relationship with India going forward this month. A new strategic EU-India agenda that aims to deepen cooperation across trade, technology, defense, and climate. The language is telling. Europe wants to double down on partnerships rooted in shared interests and guided by common values. It wants to advance trade, investment, and talent mobility. And it wants to deepen industrial cooperation in defense. Listen to von der Leyen.
We are the two largest democracies in the world. Europe is already India's biggest trading partner. The potential is immense. A free trade agreement between the European Union and India would be the largest deal of its kind anywhere in the world. Europe is open for business, and we are ready to invest in our common future with India.
The joint communication takes forward the proposed EU-India security and defense partnership, launching negotiations for a security of information agreement to facilitate classified information exchange, which will support closer security and defense cooperation. Closer cooperation on the Indo-Pacific, addressing hybrid threats, space security, and intensifying engagement on Russia's war against Ukraine. These are other areas of focus. This isn't just talk. Europe is already India's biggest trading partner, and both sides are pushing to finalize a free trade agreement by the end of this year. On the defense front, India is buying more Rafale jets from France, more Safran engines, and even building submarines in collaboration with Germany. It's a two-way street. European companies like ASML, the Dutch semiconductor giant, are also eyeing India as a key partner. ASML CEO recently spent 2 hours in a one-on-one meeting with Prime Minister Modi, while complaining that it was nearly impossible to go get time with EU leaders. That contrast speaks volumes. Perhaps the most striking signal of Europe's pivot away from DC came from Germany, again this month. According to a Politico report, Berlin's new Euro 83 billion defense procurement plan allocates just 8% to American companies. The rest, almost entirely to European manufacturers. This is a big deal. That's a blow for Donald Trump, who has been putting pressure on European countries to continue buying US arms despite the geopolitical turmoil emanating from the White House. Germany has historically been one of the biggest buyers of US arms. Between 2020 and 2024, for example, it signed off on over $17 billion in American military sales. But now it's shifting gears, investing in homegrown systems like the IRIS-T air defense and ship-launched missiles. Why the change? Partly because of Trump's pressure tactics, and substantially because of a broader desire for European strategic autonomy. And also because Europe is realizing that it needs partners who are reliable, responsive, and not prone to geopolitical tantrums. India fits that bill. India has ambition written all over it. The 2047 objective to become a developed country means there's hunger and there are numbers. Whether it's defense deals, tech partnerships, or climate cooperation, New Delhi is showing a level of agility that European businesses and policymakers are beginning to appreciate. So, is Europe abandoning the United States? Not quite. The transatlantic alliance is still strong, and NATO remains the bedrock of European security. But what we are seeing is a diversification of strategic bets. Europe is hedging. It's preparing for a world where America may not always be the dependable partner it once was. And in that world, India is emerging as a key pillar. This pivot isn't just about Trump. It's about a broader realization that the global order is shifting and that new partnerships are needed to navigate the turbulence ahead. India, with its scale, democracy, and strategic nimble-footedness, is stepping into that role. And Europe, under pressure from an unpredictable America, is finally ready to embrace it. Thanks for watching.
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया